A number of years ago, I was struggling with the medium of photography. I wanted it to do more and was interested in using text and wasn't sure how. And I realized that storybooks were a great format for the combination. And so one thing led to another, and I started publishing all of these different books in a similar sort of shape and binding style. And there were just experiments, collaborations with different artists to figure out how these two elements could come together.
We went all over these suburbs and just pretended to be newspaper reporter and photographer and got all sorts of great stuff.
It is about social life in America, and it's a social act, the putting together of this work. I think what we're interested in doing is exploring all these different avenues with this spirit of experimentation and play and adventure.
To sift through and try to take photos and sequence them and try to create some narrative or make sense of your own life or your family life or the life of the community you live in is really like a sort of a sacred piece of work.
Most things that are go photograph this person is usually not a great assignment because there's no room to wander. The real reason I do it is for the experience. And then there's this other thing later that I get to put on a wall.
I've always wanted to combine journalism and art. I'm a journalism major, so I thought that would be an interesting class to take. And I kind of researched a little bit about Brad and Alec, and I was like, okay, they're pretty well known. They seem to have done some cool stuff, so that kind of made me excited to take it. It was framed as using photos and words to tell a story.
You could pretty much do whatever you wanted as long as you told a story.
But for me personally, I thought that was exciting because we got to experiment along the way with all these different ways to do that.
When I first got my camera, not only did I want to photograph nature, but I remember very specifically wanting to photographing people in a very specific way, and it was dressing up my Barbies and Ken and putting them in these situations, and I was like, well, there it is. And it's something now I'm putting into my work, like how, going back and as a kid, what was I interested in? Talking with other people about what they were interested in and seeing if it is those things.
They brought in amazing photographers and guest speakers to our class all the time.
And it was really great because we were able to balance learning a lot from professionals who actually do what we were planning, like we want to do in the field, and then also balancing like the feedback on skills that we want to have when we go out into the field.
When you're an art major, it's easy to have this very strict sort of visual goal, but when you bring in people from journalism and all these other places, it's easy to see how artwork specifically can deviate visually or conceptually. And I think it's always really interesting when you can present your work in a different way, as opposed to here it is on the wall or there it is on the internet.
I thought you were kind of weird when you came up to me, but I guess I'm kind of weird for thinking that. You're just trying to make conversation, and here I am afraid of it.
And then on your guys' right, her name is Barbara Osterman, and interestingly enough, she designed and sewed a lot of the clothing that she wore in her photos and films.
It's based on the screen test that he got off of eBay. So that was kind of his story. He was looking for those, finding those, and watching the women in those screen tests and kind of trying to embody them in a sense. I think when you really look at it, his project did embody the entire class because he was able to take that narrative and make it a lot more personal. So I think that's something that a lot of people didn't do. They kind of told stories about other things, and he was kind of telling a story about himself.
There's a lot more ways to tell a story than I originally thought.
Yeah, I would definitely take another residency course.
Amazing group of people, incredible bunch of skill sets, and I couldn't be happier with the way this thing turned out and how much fun it's been for us.